What's good, people? Guess who's back? Back again. Episode 14 of Sports Debate Tuesday starts. Edit that part out. It starts right now. All right, what's good, people? This is episode 14, man. We had some really good feedback from last week, so let's get to it, my man. First question. I'm going to read out first question to you, okay?
All right.
All right, question number one for the topics today. Moving on. No, 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 no. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Wow. All right, check it out. From last Thursday to the present, the NFL draft mania has run wild, okay? With the virtual draft dust finally starting to settle, which draft pick was a surprise to you and which draft pick was no surprise at all? We're going to go one apiece on this one, okay? So,
All right.
starting with you, which one was a big surprise to you?
A big surprise to me was Tristan Wirfs going to Tampa, just because of the effect that he'll have.
Yeah.
I thought it was crazy that he dropped that far. I thought all the offensive line would be off the board by then, but they weren't, and they picked him up, and it was just it's crazy how it all just, but kind of like laid out. But the draft is pretty crazy. It was very stacked draft for a lot of different positions, and then the skill positions. Even though there's a lot of wide receivers and a lot of teams got a lot of things they needed. So great draft by honestly a lot of teams. A really good draft for a lot of teams.
Oh my God, dude. Rob McLean. My biggest surprise has to be Jordan Love, the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers is like, yo, we had a good season, right? 12 wins or 13 wins, whatever it was last year. Had a stout defense under new coach Matt LaFleur. Aaron Jones, we always trying to become the new Aaron there. And I'm thinking, hey, let's get a little complimentary tight end. I could have someone throw a block. Let's get some more wide receivers. Let's give Devontae Adams a running mate. So what do they do in their first round selected on the 26th pick for the Green Bay Packers, Utah State, Jordan Love? Now, don't get me wrong, the guy can ball, all right? If he's going for any other team, maybe the Raiders, maybe for the Jaguars. I mean, his 2018 season threw for 3,567 yards, 32 touchdowns, 6 picks. Furloughed his senior year because he wanted to become eligible for the draft. He must have killed it in the combine for people even to consider this guy for the first round. But Aaron Rodgers must be like the game signed with G Unit had people like, huh? What
Yeah,
the
I
hell do you
mean
think that that's
that's
about? Do
tough.
you think do you think that they think that Aaron Rodgers has maybe 2 more years instead of four? Because we talked a couple of episodes before. He wanted to go four, but you and me were like, he ain't going no four. So maybe that's what the front office is thinking.
I mean, the thing is with with Aaron Rodgers is he doesn't have the durability. So the older he gets, the less durability he's going to have. And if he's not on the field, he's not on the field. That's just what it is. I think it's tough, and if you have a guy like Jordan Love, just like the same thing with what the Eagles did, where if you have
Oh, it
another
hurts.
guy that you're looking at, that could possibly be interesting going forward, like Jacoby Brissett was for a lot of teams, honestly. Um, you give yourself an option if they get hurt, right? So it's just a really interesting choice, but I think it's a smart choice, honestly. The hedge host and the GM, they want to do something. They like this guy. That's what they were saying right off the bat. So if that's their guy, they're gonna go get him and live with it. But
Yeah,
we'll
man.
see.
All
We'll
the
see.
dogs were barking on that one, man. I heard
We'll
a
see.
dog in the back. Even the dog was like, "Arr, arr, 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 arr." What the
Yeah,
hell
they're
is
just
y'all
not happy.
problem?
Not a lot of happy people.
All right,
Not a
so
lot of
which
happy
which
people.
um so which draft pick did not surprise you at all? You're like, boom, obvious is obvious.
I mean, let's just say like outside the top five, I think the most obvious pick um, was Isaiah Simmons to the Cardinals. I think that was,
Oh,
you know, game
yeah.
changer, game changer.
No.
Because when you take a guy like him, you maybe you have to change your defensive scheme a bit, but in their defense, he actually fits perfectly where he can just roam around, he can get the tackles, he can be uh, just an X factor type of player, right?
Yeah.
And he has the X factor type of physical ability. So I think that changes that team around in a heartbeat. So I think it's a great pick, and That's the obvious pick. They didn't move up to get him, and hey, they got the best player. Honestly, one of the best players in the draft. So
Well,
great pick for
Rob,
them.
if the coach had half a brain, I mean, this guy's out of Clemson, and of course, and that coach just let him have free reign, and they're always in the national championship picture because of him, and they were always well coached, and I'm glad he landed with Arizona. I believe it was the eighth pick. And Arizona also picked up a good tackle, Josh Jones, out of Houston in the third round. So that was a pretty good.
Hmm.
That guy was still around for the third round. Rashard Lawrence out of LSU, always a problem. That's an edge rusher or like a defensive like a front four guy. I don't know. I'm not sure if I was running the 4-3 or 3-4. I'm only assuming it's a 4-3. So with that being said, my surprise, my Nate Diaz, I'm not surprised, mother effer, draft pick goes to, I'm lazy, Tua Tagovailoa. Still messed it up. We're gonna do like an outtake, and I'm gonna be like boom, boom, and have the background music.
You're gonna get it eventually.
Yes, Tua. Hey, with a name like Jason DeBias, imagine how long it took me for that. Tua is someone Miami wanted, and there was some talk about Justin Herbert. There was some talk about Love and some other quarterbacks, but they last year was the campaign to tank for Tua, Rob. And I'm not surprised. They didn't trade up. Their gut says Washington wasn't going to go with him, and I mean Dan Snyder and the coach pretty much were adamant about keeping Haskins. So they're like, I hope Washington's not being a d-hole about this and head faking us. And it was a small chance, but obvious is obvious. I got to go with two on that. Yeah, and that's I guess that's all I got to say about that.
Crazy that they tanked for Tua, and then they didn't tank well enough, and then Tua gets hurt, and they ended up not having to trade up for him because of all this. Because if he was able to go to workouts, pro workouts, and work out for teams, he would have gotten chosen
Ooh, he
before
might have
five.
got yo, that getting
Yeah,
injured really helped him, huh?
for sure.
He would
Well,
have
not
got
even that, but
snatched
but
up.
just this whole process because he got injured and it dropped him back, so he probably lost a couple $1 million. But he got maybe to a team that may be able to help him in a short term a little better, and he might be able to help them in a short term a little better. Some
Yeah.
team that's not like how people are saying, about the Cincinnati Bengals, where it might be a couple of years until they're truly a legitimate playoff contender.
Yeah, I think they're gonna
Regardless.
I think they're gonna Peyton Manning Burrow. I think they're gonna have him start his first year, take his lumps, get acclimated or whatever. Seems like a pretty tough guy, so I don't think he's gonna get roughed up too much. He is because he's a rookie, and you know how the NFL is. In addition of being like 1.5 times faster than college, they're licking their chops. They smell rookie. I really liked to his ability to not turn over the ball. Like if you look at his last 3 years with Alabama, pretty much since he's played the sophomore year, he was 11 touchdowns, 2 picks. 2017, 43 touchdowns, only 6 picks. 2018 and last year, 33 and 30 for touchdowns to interceptions. So he's just what Miami is looking for. And Brian, the head coach, whose name escapes me, and I swear to you, it'll come back to me. I'm so happy that he's got someone to work with because they were supposed to be so embarrassingly bad. They only said that Miami was going to only win 2 games, but they fought. Somewhere between the middle of the season at the end, you weren't getting no free lunch from Miami, and Miami ruined the Patriots' day, didn't they? They
Yeah,
ruined the
they
Patriots
did
the
at
last
the
game
end
of
of
the
the
season,
season,
ruined their bye. So
last game,
those guys
and
come to fight. Yep.
and that I believe was one of the first tank anchors' point about Cincinnati being one of the worst places to play in football because so could Cincinnati, so could have the Cleveland Browns, so could have many of the other teams who just ended up their season the same way they started losing. They just lost and lost, and then they kept losing and they lost. But like a team like Miami, for whatever reason, they turned it around. Um, and that just shows what kind of culture you're going into.
No
And
doubt.
I think the culture says a lot more than almost more times than the skill that you have in your team. It transcends that. So you need to be able to have a great culture to go into to have a successful, to build a successful team. So
Yep, I like it. All right, Rob. Bobby McGee. Rob, keep it McLean, McLean. Here's question number 2.
what you got?
On each night of the draft, there are a lot of trades and deals for teams to move up to get the players they want. So, Rob McLean, or should I say Jason DeVilliers, which team benefited the most from the draft overall? You go first, Jay. Thanks, Rob. Don't you never ask.
You got it, man.
Rob McLean, check it out. I got to go with the Miami Dolphins. All right, they waited. They played the patience game. They tanked for Tua. They got what they wanted. Injury notwithstanding, definitely have them fall easier on their lap. But in addition to that, they got 164th. They got this edge rusher named Curtis Weaver. I'm like, why the hell did nobody picked up this guy the first 3 rounds or 4 rounds? Is beyond me. That dude was still around, and they're like, wait, edge rusher? Are you kidding? We got him, man. And they got an offensive tackle that San Francisco traded Matt Breida, right? And for a 5th round pick. I scratched that. San Francisco is the one that got Colton McKivitz, so leave that. They got Austin Jackson, who's an offensive lineman. Now, I'm not a big USC fan, but that dude was just bumping people off the block. He was just knocking people on their butt. And last but not least, a very capable head coach. The guys believe in him. You know how easy it is to tank this year's season when you're losing a bunch of games and you just lose your motivation and your fans are booing you and you're getting embarrassed out there. And these guys are still playing from bell to bell. Good coach, good offensive line, new edge rushers. Great trade to get Matt Breida from San Francisco because now they got another back besides Tevin Coleman. New quarterback, young team. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, I mean the Dolphins, man. I like what they did. I think I liked a little bit more what they did pre-draft. I like their free agency a bit more, but yeah, I think they did some good things. But
who's your team?
I think that the team that benefited the most from the draft, honestly, it's hard to not say this, but I watched the Giants draft. Back home, New York Giants, they had a fantastic draft. They drafted 2 offensive linemen and probably the 2 top 5 offensive linemen, top 8 offensive linemen in the first 3 rounds. And then in the second round, they got their starting safety next year of one of the 3 pretty solid safeties on the team. They're just going to up their entire team all the way down to the second round because they're changing their scheme a bit. They're going from 4-3 more to a 3-4, even though last year they had a 3-4. But they're going to stick with that and go more of a hybrid scheme. But they're putting in like a lot of these Belichick guys all the way down to the 7th round. I'm talking about 5th, 6th. They got a great guard in the 5th round that could play center. They got a lot of edge rushers and outside linebackers. So great job on the Giants. I think they got one of the best drafts in the league. I mean, the Cowboys also had a freaking great draft. I mean,
they got the wideout they wanted. Right?
Yeah,
CD, they got CD?
Yeah, I mean, it was good there, but they also had, they went defense all the way through. They got Trayvon Diggs in the 2nd round, like mid to late 2nd round, and he's like a 1st-round grade. So they got a great cornerback there. They got a defensive tackle, Gallimore from, I believe it was Oklahoma. Yeah. And, man, he is just a mover. 1st-round grade on him, too, in the 3rd round. So it's pretty crazy that the NFC really just notched up the level a little bit, and I think it's going to be a really good season, really good for this division.
I think Pittsburgh picking up our guy from Notre Dame.
Claypool.
Yes, Chase Claypool, right?
Listed
as a wide receiver, but the dude is built like a tight end. And, that kind of hard-nosed thing where, Mike Tomlin expects his receivers to block people off the bump. He's going to be really, really good. And he's got pretty good speed. If you remember him at the Combine, he was key. He was running like a 4.4. Yeah, just ridiculous. Someone that big, remember what I tell you I'm not scared of big people again? Remember I told you a couple of weeks ago? I wasn't scared of big people because they couldn't catch me.
235 running 4.4.
Yeah, man. You got... and we're going to get to good idea. We got a whole bunch of others, but we're going to save them for good idea, bad idea as well. Because me and you were talking about big guys that could run a couple of weeks ago. And we owe it to ourselves to wait a little bit on that for the people watching. Be patient, okay? Bear with us, but don't get undressed. All right, question number 3. We just rolling
Yeah,
through them,
man.
Bobby.
Rolling,
With
man.
all of the big off-season moves, the balance of power has shifted significantly in all the divisions, and I think we both agree on that. With that
Mm.
being said, Rob, which division do you now consider the most up for grabs? Any man's division to win.
So it's hard to say, and I'm not saying this is the best division. Um, just because I talked about the Giants in the last one, I'll say
What's
that
up?
they're
What's up for
right there.
grabs? Where like anyone can win.
And I know NFC East is like right there because I think that a lot of teams got a lot better and they're always right there at the
Yeah,
end.
and the
So that's
Giants got
always
better
up
too,
for
like you just
grabs.
said.
They did, and the Redskins. But I think that the NFC South is probably the most up for grabs now. Again, uh, granted, it really matters on how the draft picks kind of move in. Like if Isaiah Simmons doesn't really pan out this year, first year, and it takes more time to adjust, it could have a big difference. But that division is just stacked, and I mean, because Cliff Kingsbury, they're going to put points on the board. Now they have some sort of defensive presence to be able to stop teams. That means they could steal a game in the division. That's what we really see. You only play a team twice in division, so you steal one game, it's a toss-up now in the division. Even if your records are
Yeah,
generally close. You don't beat the same teams. You don't have the same strength of record. It's very close. So with Tampa, New Orleans, and then you have the Panthers, you don't know what they're doing. Kyle Allen could have a great year. He could have a bad year. I just think that
they got
division is just up for
Bridgewater, right?
grabs. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Bridgewater
Well,
and
that's a
Allen. Listen, I
competition,
mean,
but really, I
it
think they're gonna.
is.
I think Todd's gonna go to Teddy on this one.
No, to start for sure.
Yeah,
I kind of yeah, but it'd just be interesting to see what could happen with that team. So
that's a strong. Wow, that's a
and
good
then you got
division, man.
of course you got Tom Brady in them, so it is
Yeah,
what it is.
Jameis Winston's working out a deal with the New Orleans Saints to be Drew Brees' backup.
Wow.
Even though they got a young cat in there, I think Hillman or something like that. All
Yeah.
right, Rob. With that being said, I was actually gonna go AFC East, but I don't think Miami's closed the gap that much. Where I don't think Buffalo is a lock, right? I think they got to beat on Sam Darnold. They eat USC quarterbacks for breakfast, so I'm not going there. Rob, I'm gonna surprise everybody when I'm gonna say the NFC West. All right, you got the San Francisco 49ers, got a stout defense, um, got a wide receiver, 25th in the draft pick, Brandon from Arizona State. So he's well coached. That's Herm Edwards territory, and Herm Edwards, is really good about the slot, the deep threats. He's all about sticking his man or losing his guy. He's a well coached guy, and San Francisco is going to be glad to have him. The Seattle Seahawks. All right, listen, when they won because they had the Legion of Boom. They won because the Legion of Boom was gone and they had a bend but don't break defense. And even when all of that was gone, even when they had a halfway decent running back, even when they had halfway decent to non-existent wide receivers, they had Russell Wilson, the one-man gang, running for his life. Or was he? Just throwing touchdown passes, running for the ones he wasn't throwing. And right now, they got a linebacker, Jordan Brooks from Texas Tech. This dude is killing it, man. And not to mention so that's Seattle. San Francisco, I just mentioned, they got a good wide receiver, got a good defensive lineman out of South Carolina, Kinlow, to already support their already stout defense. Isaiah Simmons, you just mentioned Arizona, in addition to getting Hopkins, in addition to get to play next to Fitz. It's going to be really good, man. Kyler Murray in his second year putting up big numbers with really nobody except Fitz his first year. So that's that division that was settled by a stoppage at the goal line, at the 1 yard line, by the two top teams, which, by the way, determined the number one, who was going to be the number one seed and who was going to be the number 5. Yeah, Rob, sticking
It's
to my
up there.
guns, man. It's for me. It is the NFC West, the wild, wild West. I mean, we could say the same thing about the AFC North, right? You got
Yeah. The
Bengals.
Bears are looking nice, man.
NFC North, yeah. Bears are
Oh
looking
yeah.
good. Minnesota's always stout. They always have a good win-loss record against Aaron Rodgers. So particularly those guys always beat the crap out of each other in their division, no matter who the dominant team is. I bring your attention to the AFC North. Pittsburgh, the Ravens always play each other tough. The Browns, Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield put a price on his head.
We'll
So
see.
the cool thing about that division is everybody that plays each other, no matter what their win-loss record, it's a division rival. It's a division
True.
rival. Everyone's gonna get hit. Man, I've
Yeah.
seen two personal fouls on Antonio Brown that got Pittsburgh 30 yards of personal foul penalties that got him a field goal that beat Cincinnati in the playoffs. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Woo.
And it's rivalries.
Yeah, man. Rivalry, rivalry, rivalry. All right, so that's it for football, my man.
Yeah.
We're moving on to our sport, my favorite sport,
Hey, yeah.
beach volleyball. Now, Rob, we did a really, really good job last week on the women's top five. Last week we did the top five American beach, top five female American beach players in the, today. Quite a buzz, good feedback. Everybody liked it. In fact, some indoor people like Jomo, my boy Jomo, who has been following Alex Kleiman since indoor and since overseas is she kind of moved the needle and got a lot of indoor people. So, with that being said, ladies first, the guys are on the clock. Rob McLean, from 5-1, we're gonna go back and forth. 5-1. Who are your top five American male beach volleyball players?
So my number five is Reed Pretty. I thought his what is it called? His growth has been great. Just the way he looks in the court, it looks really smooth, and it looks like he's very calculated in what he's trying to do now. So I definitely saw growth recently at the end of last season. So I hope that he's putting the work in still and continued growth. But yeah, from where I see it right now, he's he's definitely in that number five spot.
Cool. I like Red Pretty because remember a couple of years ago he's in the qualifier with Kame Schalk and went all the way from there to like making semifinals with Ricardo and
Hmm.
then making finals with this dude, and finally winning a finals. In fact, a gold series with Trevor Crabb. Very, very well deserving. Elite athlete on the indoor scene. They train. You remember us playing indoor, man. We train terrible. We train terribly, man. We just
Hmm.
kill our bodies, man. He's so happy to do a different kind of training for beach because it's low impact. And he's found a new lease on life, particularly in the sport he loves, particularly where he has more responsibility because it's doubles. It's as close to an individual sport as as volleyball's gonna get. My
Absolutely.
fifth, my fifth pick is Jeremy Casebeer. Jeremy Casebeer. And these are my reasons. One, he's a Triple Crown winner, okay? He was first in the AVP in kills, aces, and blocks. And in the aces category, no one even came close, okay? And he's just murdered. And my second reason, this man has an uncanny gas tank. If he lived in ancient Rome, he's the type of guy that would nail people into a cross in between playing sports. Okay, one is hunting and one is wrestling in the arena. That is my man Jeremy Casebeer. Last but not least, can't be in this top five unless you're competitive and you compete for that chip. Competed for a chip, won the chip. And with Kame Schalk in Seattle. So he's my number five pick, and the only reason why he wasn't a little higher is the aces are up there, and no one's even close. But unfortunately, the service errors, you live and die.
Are also up there. Yeah.
So Rob,
It is what it is.
my number four. I'm gonna go first on this one because you went first
Okay, yeah,
last
yeah, go
time.
ahead.
It's my
Go
turn.
ahead.
I'll let you talk. My fourth is the older Crab. I got to go with Trevor Crabb. Love what he's been doing the last 4 or 5 years. Every guy that guy has partnered up with has made the finals. He partnered up with his brother Taylor, made the finals 3 times. He partnered up with Rosie, who's like the Pat Riley of the AVP. He's always going to get you to the finals. Whether you win or lose, that's up to you. He partnered up with John Mayer, won 2 FIVB tournaments. However, 3-star, but a win is a win is a win. Had success with him. Hooked up with Tri-Born, man. They've done better on the international scene than they did in the AVP. Last but not least, hooked up with Reed Pretty because Tri-Born got hurt and won the Gold Series, the Manhattan Beach Open. So now that man's name is etched in time, etched on the Manhattan Beach Pier, etched in the annals of the AVP history and possible future Hall of Famer. My number four pick, Trevor Beefcake Crab. He's the
My number
beefier
four
crab.
is
You guys,
all right. Yeah, I'll give you that.
I ain't call him
Um,
meathead. No, I'm gonna call him, whatever. Sorry.
my number four would be Chase Budinger. I think again another great growth of a player. For me, big guys on the list, they just got to like dominate, and I think that he's started to dominate a little bit at the net. Um, with like the slower plays, with the on twos, he's been able to kind of be a smarter blocker. Maybe not as much as a physical blocker on like the on swing on full attack or set up offense, but definitely a crafty blocker. So, and then of course side out and swinging looks great. And then he and Casey did a great job of setting each other up for options. So I definitely think that his skill and IQ just definitely went through the roof, and love to see what he brings to the next couple of years.
True elite athlete, man. True elite athlete in that guy, man. He just comes in, and in a matter of a couple of years, he's always in the conversation in the semis and finals.
True.
He has these streaks too, where you don't want to serve him. He's so unstoppable, and his ability to set his partner has improved significantly. He's very very competitive at the net. On offense and defense, he's got a pretty good jump serve, so he gets an honorable mention in my book. And it was
Well,
just, I mean,
and
the last two were just so hard. They were like four people balanced in and out. Like Tri Bourne's not on my list, and Tri Bourne normally would be, but Trevor Crabb has one thing that he doesn't. He has three abilities: accessibility, availability, and durability. I mean, for me to be one of the best beach volleyball players today, you have to be playing. So,
yeah.
so
No,
try
I mean
try would
Trevor's
have
not on
try
my
would have
list, but
easily been
like
on this list.
they're yeah, same. I mean they're both not on mine, but I mean they could both be on my list. I
Yeah.
just think it's a small sample size that we've seen so far of them being successful. So
Yeah,
got to keep that up.
Tim Baumgren gets the rub too as far as honorable mentions are concerned. And I'm doing
True.
honorable mentions
Absolutely.
right now because I think we pretty much might be saying the same thing for our top three. So, Rob, who is your number three?
Well, I was gonna say too about Chase. It's also
Oh,
interesting to
go.
see
Sorry.
like because he also he was a like not more of an athlete, but he was a great college athlete, and then not like like not an average basketball athlete, but he had knee surgeries, and like the reason why he was out of the league because that kind of affected the way he kind of played, or so it's been told. So um, it's just interesting to see him come to like presumably maybe a more athletic sport and be athletic and
Yeah.
be a big guy that's obviously a difference maker. So
And he did have
very
star.
interesting to see.
Listen,
That's
and
why
he
he's
did
got to
have
be up
enough
there.
star power in the NBA, where if he starts winning a bunch of AVP titles, FIVB, that's gonna make mainstream news. He's good for the sport, you know.
Definitely, definitely.
And
People knew his name. I mean, he was a shooter. He was a dead eye shooter at one point. I mean,
Yeah, super
yeah, it's great.
introverted too. I asked the coach, I'm like, "What's this guy's deal?" He walks around like McGruff the crime dog without the words, And he's like, "Nope." He's at a dinner table. You won't hear a word from him. He's just eating, and I'm like, "Okay, that's just who he is." And yeah, I mean, I saw him first time I saw him. I'm a New York fan. I saw him play for the Brooklyn Nets a little bit, so he was with them. And but honorable mention. So Rob,
Um,
who is your number three?
my number three is uh, the one who's always been there. I mean, he and John Hyden are like right there for me, but I haven't seen John too much playing, um, so it's been difficult for me to put him on the list. But Jake Gibb is my number three. Again, just super dependable. If you're a big guy that's on the list, or if you're a big guy that's up there, whether beginning of the career, end of the career, trying to build something, whatever it is, the best thing you could be is dependable. Before you're a star, or before you're doing extra things. Because if you're the big guy, if you're the blocker, first line of defense, like you need to be dependable. And I think Jake, even from the beginning, you play with Rosie, playing with everybody he's played with, he's always been the dependable person. Like he's not going to go out there try to bounce the ball. He's going to put the ball in that corner and put it in the right spot every time. Like, and that just makes you play at a higher level, so you can go out there and do great things. And I think that's really why he and Taylor work well together. Is that Taylor's so X factor. He wants to do everything extra, and I think that Jake wants to do everything so perfect that I think they kind of work out together.
Yeah,
And I think they will kind of flash in the right time. So
yeah,
I'm excited for the Olympics eventually.
yeah, man. Well, my number three is Jake Gibb, Rob. All right. The guy's second in the league in aces. I mean, no one's gonna catch Case Beer, but I mean, the next person behind him was 20 aces behind him, and he did it in 36 matches. So he did probably an average of matches less than everybody else. So he was second in blocks, two behind Case Beer. Case Beer's 137. He had 135. He and Taylor won 4 of the 6 AVP tournaments that they played in, and if they weren't, they were second or third. Moreover, I was talking about Jeremy Casebeer's conditioning. This man's conditioning and his health and nutrition is particularly knowing, given his age, because it's one of those things that everybody talks about, and it's so weird that everybody talks about it because when he's on the court, he just looks like a regular young player. There's nothing to talk about, and I'm excited for the Olympics next year, just like you are, because there are some people like the longer you wait, the worse it's going to get, and the longer you wait, the better it's going to get. And I think he's one of those guys that's going to stay the same, and maybe on a IQ level, because of his good nutrition, is probably get a little bit better. Listen, our IQs, Rob, as the years go, we're just smarter players. We just can't do anything about it because we're not physically able to. So you got someone like him, 43 years of age, who's smarter and is able to physically do the things he wants to do. Man, this might be the time of his life.
Yeah, I think this is definitely great for him. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you could definitely see physically he's lost a step maybe in the last year or so.
Yeah.
But, I think it just kind of, you always, even as a player, you always just have to, whatever the player you are in that moment, you just got to make the best of that.
Yeah.
Compete with that the best you can instead of just like, oh, I'm this or I'm that.
Definitely. And I always think he lost a step too, but I'm like, compared to what? Like I look at him a decade ago. What was his step? I guess they're all a little bit faster. All right, my number 2. I'm going first on number 2.
Yeah.
Got to go with Phil Dalhausser. Phil, the thin beast, the giant, El Gigante. The man needs no introduction. Olympic gold medalist. The man is known as the Wall. 58 AVP wins, 38 FIVB. And just like Walsh, everybody keeps coming after him because they thought he lost a step. But just like that guy said in the movie Stripes, that Joel Sargent said, which one of you suckholes want to come here and knock me off? The answer is nobody yet. Not in the American scene. I mean, he's still up there, and he's playing in all these tournaments. He's top 5 in all 6 AVP tournaments that he played in. He won the AVP in New York City, beating Troy Field and Tim Baumgren. 4th in blocks as far as matches played over 20, and 1st in hitting percentage. Now I'm flattening the curve because there's someone that could play like 6 matches and have a higher hitting percentage on him, but that's not how I'm doing it. 20 matches or more, he's hitting I believe 570, 572 in the AVP as far as the leaderboard is concerned. So his option, still formidable. His hands, still clean. His jump serve to space. Jumps, even the jump floaters, they just have this ridiculous high level movement on it. And yeah, make mine Phil, number 2.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think not that he's lost a step necessarily. I mean, I think it's just people have been testing him more. He has not an awkward game, but he has a goofy foot approach over time, over the ability to control your body, at a more advanced age. Some things break down, and just like the ability to chop a ball back, or just to not sell a ball to a certain spot. So I think that he would always be number 1 on anybody's list. I think if you're going to build a team around somebody, you're always going to start with the big guy first. But yeah, just if we're talking about what player affects the game more, in my eyes, Phil, yeah, he's a great player, but doesn't jump serve anymore. A lot of float serves. That was a big piece of his game.
Yeah. Do you think he does that because of the integrity of the scene? Meaning that like if he's playing like the 16th seed and he's the 1 seed of the 2, is he not going to tax himself because he knows his serve to space is good enough to get these guys out of system and maybe get an ace or 2?
And the hard thing about that though is I know what you're saying, and that's really what it is. But when you play against the top teams, if you don't pull that out, what kind of team are you if you have that in your back pocket and you don't pull it out? And I get saving it or saving it at a certain time, but that's why you're number two on the list and not number one, because you don't have the energy, or you don't have the, you're just not showing it, you know. If you win without it, totally fine, you know, and that's going to propel you up a certain list. But if you're not using it and you're not, you know, being your best, then, you know, there's a reason for it, you
No,
know,
no
whether
doubt.
it's injury or,
No doubt. All right, hey,
so.
we went through
I
this
mean, we
list
both got
very
to have number
nicely.
one.
Yeah,
Both got to
man.
have the same number
Listen,
one.
listen. The order of the top four is always gonna be here, and there, but and number two or one is always gonna be the interesting one. But
Pretty much the
with
same
only
thing.
one person left, Rob McLean, who is your number one?
Yeah, I mean, it's Taylor Crabb. Obviously, I think it's kind of hard to deny that he's offensively and defensively very special. I feel, I don't know what it is. I just, when I watch him play, maybe it's that, you know, he sees things very easily and then makes a decision. But I feel like the ball could go faster. You know, I feel like he makes a decision and then the ball doesn't get there. Like he's too smart for his
Yeah,
game, but
or maybe
I
just his
think
matrix is
I think
different.
or but again, like he is a little smaller, and I get that, but he jumps well. You know, he's got some length, and the ball pops off your hand well when he do that. You know, like I know people smaller than him that can make a ball go right over the blocker and then hit that spot, and no one's touching that. You know,
Well,
whether the ball,
you
whether
go
the
on the
blocker
international scene, you're gonna see a bunch of people like that.
totally. But if we're talking about a 5'6" dude and a 6'5" dude in the park, and then we're talking about a 7-footer and a 6'1" guy in the pro level, what are we talking about here? You know,
Yeah,
inches and inches is the same thing. So it's just a different. It's at a different level. So I get it, but that's what you train for. You know, that's your job. So
yeah,
he is the number one, but I think he's still there's still a lot of uh, bar to push, right? Yeah, I think there's a lot more that he can pull that up and you know, get a little bit higher percentage of transition defensive points, and you know, side out a little bit higher every time you get a chance. You know, that one or two times they challenge you a game, you know, and maybe you can, you know, there's just push the bar higher.
yeah. Rob McLean, make mine Taylor Crab. That's right, Taylor Crab, cause he's a dirty white boy. I got one for each brother, okay? One's the beefcake, one's the dirty white boy. The man has 437 digs in the AVP in just 36 matches. He finished a top 10 in 8 of the 10 FIVB tournaments with his partner in crime, Jake Gibb. I always look at some of these MVP and these all tournament team categories for indoor and outdoor volleyball, and you have these giants, these mythological beasts, big hands, big face, look like they can just swallow your head clean off, right? Chomp. And you look at these guys with like big feet, taking up all kinds of court. But when it comes down to MVP, when it comes down to the best player in the world, isn't it crazy that it's always someone like that who's like 6'3" or 6'2" or 6'1"? You got like Taylor Sander, you know who won like indoor best player in the world. You got this guy, Karch Karai, graciously listed at 6'1", who's still basically God. All right, Adam Johnson, and now we have our 6'1" Taylor Crabb, the skinny boy, the flamboyant digger, the man who lives in the matrix, the man that slows time down. He moves at regular speed, and everybody else on the court is moving at three-quarter speed, which is why his dig is coming out. You see him get six-pack because his hands come out too fast, or they come out this way. That man is amazing, and like you said, we were doing this. Not thumbs up. We were doing this because that man has a... Oh, shoot. Did you just see that? Rob, that was an
Gotta keep
upside.
going.
That's my dude, Taylor Crabb. Still love you, man. Call me back. Little freaker. All right. I'm gonna cue up the clock. I'm gonna try to cue up the clock for our good idea, bad idea. I'm just trying to remember which clock it is. I got the horn. Oh, there it is.
We got the horn.
Yes. Yeah, did you hear the horn? You heard the horn. Come on,
Oh
Rob.
my gosh. Yeah, I heard it. That's
All
too
right, we're
funny.
back. Thank you for joining us. This is this segment, this unedited footage, now edited. We're back on the set. It's called Good Idea, Bad Idea. I'm going to you first, Rob. Good idea, bad idea. Trent Williams goes to the Niners for a 5th-round pick.
I mean, it's a great idea for the Niners. They just got a fantastic, probably one of the top 5 offensive tackles in the league for a 5th-round pick. On the other side of Mike McGlinchey, which they just picked up last year or 2 years ago. So it was a great pickup for them, and I'm happy that the 49ers are going to be bossing it again this year.
Hey, Rob McLean, Trent Williams, a former player, if you remember, from Mike Shanahan. Now interested in playing for the Suns, so he knows the system. Trent Williams is big on this whole being professional and respecting people who are vets. He's a problem child for some coaches, but I don't think he's going to be a problem child for Kyle Shanahan. It's a win for everybody. Keith Ishmael, from the offensive line person from San Diego, and the 3rd pick for next year. Man, that is a big-time win for the Washington Redskins. So good riddance, says Washington, and come back home and play for a Shanahan, says Kyle.
Yeah.
Honking the horn, baby. Good idea, bad idea. LeBron James leading the league in assist. I'm going to go first on this. Rob, I think it's a good idea. LeBron James is still, in my opinion, the best player on the planet. But when you have someone like Anthony Davis and you have Kyle Kuzma, who never saw a shot that he didn't like, sooner or later you're going to start dishing off. And sooner or later it's going to open things up where he's going to have these ridiculous monstrous dunks. He doesn't have to bowl over people. He's not exactly clutch on a free throw line, so I don't really trust him at the end as much as I trust a lot of people. They might secure a championship because he's going to lead the league in assist.
For sure. Yeah, I love him. I think it's a great idea because he's just going to be able to get open lanes for himself, like you're saying. But he's past his prime. You know, he's not going to be able to do much other than facilitate for others and then be able to get himself easy buckets. He's not going to lead a team. That's not going to be his deal anymore. So I think it's great because he's getting into the role that he needs to get into for the rest of his career.
That's right. All right, Rob, going back to you. Good idea, bad idea. The Jets picking up Mekhi Becton.
Great idea. I mean, I loved everything the Jets did this year in the draft. They picked up another wide receiver in the 2nd round, Denzel Mims, who I think is going to be a superstar. So yeah, I'm excited to watch some sports this year in the New York football area. Mekhi Becton, even if he is not the left tackle they think he's going to turn out to be, you kick him inside to guard, and he's going to be one of the best guards in the league because he's got some great feet. So it's great to see. Can't wait for the Jets to be decent.
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, I co-sign with you on that, Robin. I think it's a good idea. And the only person that's more grateful than Sam Darnold that he's coming to the Jets is the running back. Who's this guy that was from Pittsburgh who's with him now?
Oh, Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell's going to love him because as far as like knocking off the edge rusher and like pushing the pile and running up with the running back, that man is going to be running down the field. Did you see that man at the 40? Did you see that man at the 40? A 5'1". And how old? How much does he weigh? 365 pounds? What?
374 at school.
Woo-wee.
Yeah. Crazy.
All right, Rob, good idea, bad idea. The UFC overstacking their next card on May 9th, which is UFC 249.
Good idea. I mean, I think it's a lot of unknowns going on. You don't know if things are going to stop again. You know, I think it's good that they try to get as much out of this event as they can for the fighters as well. And then, I just think it's good also because a lot of people want to see an event, and if you stack a card, they're gonna want to see. A lot of people are gonna come because there's not a lot going on. There's no other professional sports, so it's like the UFC's got a lot for the taking, and they're gonna go for it.
Rob, dude, sorry, Rob, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea, and I'll tell you why. And we started the clock late on this, so it gives me extra time. All right, you have just the undercard, you have Cowboy Cerrone on. You have Jeremy Stevens against Calvin Kattar. You have Dominic Cruz fighting our guy, Henry Cejudo. He ain't going to be fighting no women anytime soon. Not to mention they pushed back the Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje match. I love this match. I love this card. I love that it's May 9th because it seems like everybody's hell-bent on everything returning back to normal. By the way, Donald Cerrone is fighting Anthony Pettis. Woo! Fabricio Berduma's on his card against Alexei Olenek. It is an awesome card, my man. All right, last but not least, let's go back to good idea, bad idea. Question, good idea, bad idea. The AVP canceling New York City. I'll go first on this, Rob.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh my God, it pains me. I don't like it. That sucks. I was so looking forward to it, but my hand is forced to say it's a good idea. They have to do it. They have to do it. If it were if the AVP was in North Dakota in June, maybe you have reservations and maybe you just go. If it's on some island like Dana White was trying to do, fine. But New York City, it was like the new, kind of like the de facto ground zero for this coronavirus, and it looks like it's going to take them longer to situate themselves than anyone else in the United States. So they must think we're all nuts.
Yeah, I think it's just difficult to expect New York to be capable of hosting a tournament, any type of event, in a short amount of time with just all the uncertainty going on right now. I mean, even if everything opens up, which we don't know if it is, it's just hard to say that it'll be safe for all the athletes as well as all the people trying to attend. And that's the big deal here is, I want to play volleyball too, but, I want to make money too. But if you get sick, if all the other people get sick, it's just going to hurt the reputation as well.
It definitely will, and big up to the AVP. I know the AVP has taken some hits lately. I mean, not lately, but like the last decade and a half. Big up to Donald's son and big up to Jeff Conover that found a way to bring the energy back into the stadium. Like it was, Rob, it was nostalgic as hell. It was awesome. It was really fun to watch. And I was very, very happy to be a part of it as a coach. I was very happy to be part of it, just doing my thing on NY Varsity Sports. And here we are, back in the mix, ready to do our thing again. Sorry, let's do that. And we're back to our split screen. Rob, thank you so much for joining me, but I want to finish with something that I did not put on the agenda. We have something that I'm trying to introduce called Pet Peeves and Rants. Or should I say raves? Raves are a good thing. Pet peeves are things that piss me off. All right, my pet peeve this week. You might disagree with this. You might agree with this. And this is going to step on the toes of a lot of people. But you know what? I don't give a damn, all right? I'm not being this way because I'm on camera. I'm on camera because I'm this way. So with that being said, my peeve, quote unquote, if you never played, you shouldn't comment on it. Absolute nonsense. And I'll tell you why. From the simplest perspective, if I don't like the way a steak tastes, and if that's not how the way I would make my steak, and someone comes up to me and says, "Are you a chef? You're not a chef?" No, then fine, shut the F up. No, there's certain things on a basic level that you do not need to be you do not need 20 years of playing experience or to understand what the hell is going on, all right? Now, there are certain things where I draw the line. When you say someone ain't got no heart, shut up if you never played the game, all right? When you're saying someone quit out there, shut up if you never played the game. I get that. But as far as attacking, I'm a volleyball coach or a volleyball player. As far as me attacking a volleyball player with volleyball, fine. And if someone's never played the sport in their life, like Charlie Sullivan, who's a multiple-time NCAA champion with Springfield and was the U.S. national team coach in 2015, if someone like him has something to say about a technique or something that he thinks that works or doesn't work, don't you dare tell him to shut up just because you played and he didn't. Go kick rocks. Never played the game. Comment. Shut up.
I'm not much of a peeve guy. I don't really have my peeves.
No, I wasn't asking for one.
You know me.
I just wanted your thought on mine. I
No,
mean,
I mean
there's a
I
healthy
agree.
balance.
I think it's very difficult to differentiate. Always a slippery slope. But when it comes down to it, uh, I just think that if you're not doing something to help that person improve, then there's no reason you should tell them anything really. Um,
Hmm.
Even if it's that chef that he says, if you're not a chef, don't tell me. It's like, well, I'm the customer. There's a whole lot of things to lay down when it comes to that. So
Yeah, and that's why I have some lines, but that's why I have some lines. Like you tagging someone outside of their skill set, then be sure you've been be sure that if you can convey it and relate to it, at least show something or say something that where you understand the situation. You're not feeling their pain. You're just saying I understand. All right. I'm a military vet. All right. Half the things I did in the army permits me to talk about anybody's gas tank. Do you know what I'm doing right now, 3 days a week on this quarantine? I'm doing the military ring of fire. I'm 50 this year. You know how many of these young cats cannot do the 12 stations, the 36-minute drill, 1 minute apiece? They ain't going 3 times around the world like me. That's my muscle memory. But I
there you
ain't gonna
go.
say they can't comment on it. We've been watching
Right.
the Jordan documentary, right? A little
I
bit.
have
You
been. I
catching up?
watched like an episode, but I haven't been caught up on it yet. No.
They concentrated a lot on Dennis Rodman this week and him coming up and where he played in college, and of course, Chuck Daly. And Chuck Daly, the reason why it even popped in my head is because Chuck Daly is one of those guys that never dribbled a basketball in his life. Two-time champion. All right.
Great
Coached
coach
the
then.
first Dream Team. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Scottie Pippen. It's some college guy from Duke named Christian Laettner. Now you telling me this guy never dribbled a basketball in his life and he's managing all of those personalities? Guess what? That's respect. All right. And listen, my respect for you is always profound. Once again, Rob McLean, thanks for making this episode happen again. And again, this is
So,
14 consecutive episodes, all right? Coronavirus be damned. We found a way. We were doing it in studio. Rob in his place in beautiful sunny Redondo Beach, California, letting them know where you live, okay? Because I'm gonna let them know where I live. Beautiful sunny, Hermosa Beach, California. For Rob
there you
McLean,
go.
keep it McLean. I'm Jason DeBeas. I love all of you to pieces. Thank you for listening. Gonna have a segment on this volleyball thing, but for now, we're out. See ya.